I was 13 when my brother Michael went missing. He was only 8 years old. We agreed that we would look after each other, but that day something went wrong. Michael went for a walk alone and did not return, neither for lunch nor for dinner. Of course, I was interrogated. Our whole family was interrogated. According to statistics, 80% of crimes against children happen within the family. When a kid goes missing, parents and next of kin are always checked first. But I had nothing to tell the police. I didn't see who took Michael away. I couldn't help anything. Nobody ever blamed me for what happened. I was only 13 and I wasn't even there. But if that day I was with Michael, then this person, whoever he was, might not have come for us. If he wanted to pick up the two of us for sale or some pervert business, he would follow up and pick up the two of us, right? But he only took Michael, which means he's probably the type who doesn't hunt down on purpose, but rolls around looking for a suitable, vulnerable child. Such criminals act spontaneously. Then, if I had been with Michael that day out for a walk, everything would have worked out. How did we even decide that Michael was stolen by someone? This was the official version put forward in the end by the police. After several days of searches, interrogations, analysis of testimonies, a strange man who was seen in our area appeared. The van, and in it a white man about 40 years old with a beard and a baseball cap. Do you understand what it's all about? No one remembers his number, but it seems to have been an identikit. Useless, of course. There are 40 such wise guys with a beard, which by the way can be shaved off in a minute, and an ugly baseball cap. Millions in the country. Missing Michael Jones, 8 years old. Height 3 feet 20 inches. Skinny, was wearing a green t-shirt, blue sports shirt, white sneakers. Distinguishing marks: mole under the right eye, scar on left shoulder. Maybe with a white male, approximately 40 years old, riding in a white van. Anyone with any information, please. God, I learned it by heart. We got a ransom call 3 times, of course, 3 different people. None of them had any idea where Michael was. The police explained to us that this is a common thing when a child goes missing. The phone is bursting with all sorts of crazy eyewitnesses and scammers hoping to sell at least a couple of thousands information that they do not have, of course. Michael was never found, but parents never stopped hoping. This man had Michael. He was taken by force, and perhaps he was doing to him bad things. He is alive, and one day he will return. Something will happen, and this will die. Gets hit by the cops, gets hit by a car, and Michael gets a chance to run, breaks free, comes back to us. Mom and Dad waited and hoped, refused to accept even the thought that Michael was gone forever. And I closed up even more. Don't think that I was cheerful child before all this. But after the disappearance of my brother, I became withdrawn, and my parents were not too worried. Rather, on the contrary, who would want to lose another child? After school, I immediately returned home. I spent most of my time in my room. I had almost no friends. I didn't used to be too social before. But after the story with Michael, even my school friends moved away from me. When something like this happens to your friend, you just don't know how to behave with her. The simplest thing seems to be to just move away and not touch her. What if she's wounded, worried, and does not want to know to talk to people, let alone and have fun. And the studies weren't good enough. I probably could do if I tried, but it's not enough for me that it was interesting. After 18, I stayed to live in my parents' house, although I must say there was no particular close relationship with them. No, they never blamed me for what happened, but they could not forgive me for the fact that I was the only one in our family who accepted the fact that Michael would not return, that he was gone. Michael returned 6 years after his disappearance. He was taken in some kind of den, either with a stolen credit card or with a fake check. I really didn't figure it out. Everyone was not up to such details, but the important thing is that in the police station, he called himself Jacob, this name he used in recent years, and suddenly, he gave his alleged real name Michael Jones. He named the day of his abduction, described his family, described the kidnapper. It really was the guy in the van, and he offered to give Michael a lift home. Of course he agreed. I immediately said that my brother was not so stupid, but no one listened to me at that moment. This man, Harry, really did some bad things with Jacob. This is with Michael. The mother was sobbing while she was reading the transcript of the interrogation. I also looked with one eye. I have seen worse things in crime chronicles. Jacob still got off lightly. Harry drank heavily. At 14, Jacob was already practically out of his control, running away, stealing small things, and using drugs. I went back to my daddy, as he called Harry, and when it was getting really tough, Jacob said he remembered his real family, but believed that it was too late to return to us, that we would not accept him, that he could no longer be better and stuff like that. But a few weeks ago, Harry died of a drug overdose. Jacob found him a few hours later on the living room floor. I didn't call for help. I collected all the cash and left aimlessly. The eyes were looking in a familiar direction. The hotspot, the police station. I must admit, Jacob really looked like my brother. Even the mole under his right eye and some details he really knew. Only among this information, there was nothing that could not be read from newspapers, internet, or seen in the TV report. Something he just knew how to guess. Jacob fit in well with our family. He was fit and seemed harmless around us. I even almost forgot he is not my brother either. But Jacob found that I did not believe him. He always tried to be especially natural and friendly in my presence. Once I asked him if he was angry with me for what happened. "Don't be stupid anymore," he replied. "Michael and I always use nicknames. We are not to blame for anything. In fact, no one is to blame except for the freak Harry and myself. I shouldn't have gotten into his van. I'm your big sister, baby. I should have looked after you." My eyes suddenly stung. I felt that I am about to cry. For the first time in 6 years, my brother hugged me. When the policeman finished checking Jacob's story, they strongly advised my parents to do a DNA test that reliably establishes or claims our niece. Mother was indignant. I understood her feelings, but she convinced herself that her son is alive and at home. The test could ruin everything again, take Michael away from her. The father did not dare to insist. However, after waiting and considering everything, they nevertheless decided to find out the truth. That is, for the mother to confirm that Michael is Michael and everyone is okay. In order not to injure his father, Father came up with the idea of taking the sample in secret, without loud announcing his doubts and distrust. But if it is Michael, which we have little doubt, imagine how much pain he will experience, and we do not recognize him. Of course, Jacob found out about the test. I saw him switching samples at night. Of course, I still understand when the day before he took my mug to take to the kitchen and he needed my DNA. I could have exposed him then or shown him that I know the truth, but I didn't. All was going well. Michael's room was no longer empty. My mom was smiling. You see, it was 2 months before something went wrong for the first time. Now that the DNA test confirmed the relationship and therefore his legend, Jacob felt safe. I relaxed. I don't think he really wanted to upset Mom. We must not forget that he was brought up by the street and an alcoholic. It is unlikely that Jacob was trained to watch what he said. He just said what he said, and it made my mother cry. I didn't mean to leave it like that. This guy is here to please my parents, not to upset them. I dragged my brother to the bathroom between our bedrooms so that my parents could not hear me and my brother. My brother wouldn't say that to our mother. I told him sternly, "You are no longer in brothel, but in a decent house. You must watch your manners and behavior." She snorted and tried to get around me. "You're only 5 years older than me. Just because you didn't follow me for 6 years ago doesn't mean you can start it now." "I know who you are," I told him straight to his eyes, "and I won't let you upset my parents. You are not here for that. Remember that." He turned pale, but did not give himself away. But then a cheeky smile appeared on his face. "And what are you going to do with me? I am your brother, and this house is as much mine as it is yours. Do you think you can kick me out that easily?" Jacob threw off my hand, blocking his path, and headed for the door. But before I had time to grab the handle, I pulled him back on itself and pressed it against the tiles. Although Jake was brought up, no one knows where he was, clearly not used to defending himself by force. So he chickened out. I kept my hand on his throat, not squeezing it, sensitive enough. I could strangle him easily if I wanted to, or on the contrary, I would lose control of myself. But instead, I just told him, "Be good, kid, or I will do to you the same as with your real brother."